First contact with Joshua Put.
Hello, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Today is Tuesday. It is the 14th day of November, 2017. On the Jewish calendar, it is the 25th day of Cheshvan, the year 5778. Okay, right down here. Our astrology for today, the energy we're dealing with. We have a sun sign. It's 22 degrees into the sign of Scorpio. 8 more degrees, 1 per day until we go into the next sign, if you're keeping track of this. So we have a water sign, so our conscious mind, the mind that we think with, the mind that we utilize and is kind of our personality type that we're, or the main focus that we're dealing with through life has been emotional, a lot of emotional issues in our sun sign, in our conscious mind. And our unconscious mind right now is moved over into an air sign. We're looking for balance. We've gone through lots of emotions, lots of feelings over this last month. We've dealt with this a lot. We've walked through the valley of death, but we're still here because emotions aren't going to kill us. Emotions are just going to make us feel a certain way. But eventually we get tired of all of that feeling, and we're to the point now where underneath that moon that goes and colors the additional influence we have, it's wanting us to find balance now. Find a balance between what it is that we're feeling. See if we can understand that maybe there are some karmic lessons that have been part of this unfolding, these emotions that have been going on in our lives. Because this is very necessary. We need to express the emotions. You know, Scorpio has energies popping up that have been buried because we've buried them. We didn't want to deal with them, and so now they rise to the surface, and we have to deal with those things over again. But if we really apply justice to them, if we make sure that we're dealing with the issues that come up accordingly and not trying to rebury them or turn whatever we feel into blaming somebody else or something, you know, if we make it about ourselves and understand the issues are about ourselves, then we really get the point and the lesson that is being taught to us. Because we truly are learning something each and every day from this universe of ours. All right, let's jump into some stories here. So the last couple of days I have talked about the Roy Moore story. I've said each and every day, if he has done the things that he is being accused of, then he should be brought to justice. However, I also do not believe someone should be falsely accused, and there seems to be more evidence and indication that he is being falsely accused for politically motivated reasons than there are actual proof that he did the things that they're claiming he did. So that's troubling. What's troubling is also to see so many media personalities jumping ship and with their own logic and morality and suddenly jumping ship and going for this story just because it's put out there in the public. You know, we used to have a phrase, innocent until proven guilty. Well, what happened to that? Suddenly somebody claims an anonymous source or a story happened many, many years ago. There's no proof to it, and suddenly everyone's going to jump on board and say, yes, that's accurate. Where are we going? That's a slippery slope if we allow ourselves to start getting into a place in society, because that's like a mob mentality. Oh, that person says that. What if this person's lying? Well, let me show you a few things here for those who are thinking too quickly that maybe this is a slam dunk case. Here we have the woman who holds up this yearbook as proof that I guess they knew each other. I don't know what other proof, but there's all sorts of anomalies that are in here. For instance, if you look, you could see there's a different color in ink from here to over here. When it's played on CNN, of course, they pull all that out, so it's just all one color, but the original one has blue ink and we have black ink. However, if you notice, the blue ink is all on the side that extends and adds all this information here. Okay, let's look further. There's some other analysis here. Some questions. Why does the pen change color from more onwards? Good question. 2, why is the handwriting different in the different color of ink? Another good question. 3, why did Roy write his name as Ray? Very good question indeed. Why did he write Merry Christmas, Christmas 1977, and 12/22/77 all in one short message? Guess he wanted to make sure we all knew it was Christmas in 77 according to this. Why did the handwriting of 7 change? Why did Roy use the initials DA when he was deputy at this time? So therefore it would have been DDA. And why was a yearbook signed at Christmas time? All good questions. And here one more. It's a fake. Analyst says Judge Roy Moore's signature inside Gloria Allred's Accuser's yearbook was forged. And then the fact that we got Gloria Allred, who's ambulance chaser extraordinaire, well, that just should tell us everything we need to know about this case. Known for his insightful take on politics, journalist and author, Thomas Victor believes Judge Roy Moore's signature in Gloria Allred, accuser Beverly Young Nelson's yearbook is a forgery. The 7s in the 1977 to the right of the Christmas are very different from the 7/7s in the date above. The old Hickory House. Look at the 2 versions of the number 7 he tweeted. Okay, and then you go down here. Next, Victor points out R and Y and Roy are not written in the same way. The inflection of the Y is more pronounced in the Moore signature as Chief Justice. The R is notably longer in the signature of Chief Justice as well. A couple of samples of that. Says if you oppose Roy Moore, you better make a better argument. Don't lie about him. That's fascism. We need to be better than that. Goes on to say, unless Roy Moore's handwriting has changed, the yearbook signature is a forgery, and the various different reasons. And then he gets into Old Hickory House in Gaston was never called Old, spelled O-L-D-E. So they got that wrong there. Okay, so, and then right down, during his legal career, Judge Moore became the first full-time deputy district attorney in Etowah County, served in this position from 77 till 82. In 1984, Judge Moore undertook private practice of law in Gadsden, Alabama. Okay, so the accuser calls him district attorney, but he was never district attorney. He was a deputy district attorney. Okay, so strange anomalies, not to mention that you got Gloria Allred, which, as I said, ambulance chaser. She shows up and you know it's fake. So that's pretty much what we need to know. This is a hit job. And it's really sad to see so many people. Last night I was watching Judge Jeanine. To see Judge Jeanine buy into this the way she did. Judge, what about innocent until proven guilty? You just completely flipped that. You just completely decided to charge this man guilty based on a yearbook. A yearbook which may have been forged. Won't you feel silly when you find that out? People need to pay a little bit more closer attention. I'm not protecting this man. I don't know this man, but I'm protecting the fact that we cannot falsely accuse people, and we need to look into this. There are others. A Menendez, who is actually being looked at for crimes in the DNC. We should be looking at those crimes and understanding those. Those are under investigation. Those should be reported. These aren't under investigation. These are accusations that are brought to the media which likes to lie to people and embellish stories. I hope that we as a society haven't lost so much of our common sense that we're willing to join the mob mentality just because we think it's cool. And yet the people who are leading the mob mentality are the ones who've been lying all along, which makes us more of a fool if we're following that. All right, Jeff Sessions says he is going to weigh in on the Clinton probe. We'll find out about that. I was listening to the session this morning where he was being asked questions, and he's rather vague, so we'll see how he goes forward from here. Attorney Jeff Sessions is considering naming a special counsel to lead an investigation into a list of matters involving Hillary Clinton, according to a Monday letter the Justice Department sent to the House Judiciary Committee. President Trump's top prosecutor is interested in further probing a wide range of topics, including the Obama-era Uranium One deal that gave Russia-owned company partial control of U.S. atomic energy resources. Officials told The Hill that the Justice Department is also currently investigating several issues related to the Clinton Foundation donations, unmasking of American identities by the intelligence community, and former FBI Director James Comey's handling of the investigation into Clinton's private email server, all of which could lead to the appointment of a second special prosecutor if the facts warrant. The letter comes in response to a repeated appeal of Representative Robert Goodlette, chairman of the Judiciary Panel, who called on Sessions twice this year to appoint a special second counsel who could independently investigate these concerns. Goodlette had particularly taken aim at Comey after revelations surfaced earlier this year that he had drafted a statement ending the agency's investigation into the email server before over a dozen key witnesses, including herself, have even been interviewed. Well, there's more to the article. We know the story. Jeff Sessions was before the committee today talking. I don't know where this man stands. He just seems somewhat a bit wishy-washy in some regards. In other regards, he seems very strong. The people on the panel, Democrats, were very concerned that he wants to push forward with the Uranium One investigation. Yet when asked about some of the other investigations about Hillary, he seemed to back off almost as if he didn't want to be too committal about whether he was going to go forward or whether or not, even after Jim Jordan pointed out a number of instances where she should be investigated, even that didn't seem to get a real commitment from Sessions to move forward, or even a real commitment that there were even facts that warranted a further investigation. So I'm not quite sure which side Jeff Sessions is on, but at this point in time, President Trump trusts him, so I guess we'll go with that. It's the best we've got, and we'll see where it all leads, because pedophiles are getting arrested, human traffickers are getting arrested, and those are very important issues indeed. Here's some more. Justice Department to consider special counsel for Uranium One deal. 10 days after President Trump said that he was frustrated with the Justice Department for not investigating Hillary Clinton and other Democrats, the Justice Department told Congress on Monday that senior prosecutors were looking into whether a special counsel should be appointed to investigate them. The prosecutors will examine reports of misconduct at the Clinton Foundation and the Obama administration's 2010 decision to allow a Russian nuclear agency to acquire much of the United States uranium, among other matters, according to a letter sent to the House Judiciary Committee from a senior justice official on Monday. Well, we'll see how that one unfolds. We'll see what's going to happen with Sessions. All right, let's switch gears here to a very important topic, a topic that the public really needs to grasp. Every day people turn on the television to watch what they believe is news. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, these are the big stations people turn on. They turn these stations on thinking that they're being told what's going on by journalists who are on those stations interested in informing them about what's going on. And people have learned to trust these individuals. When you turn your television set on at the house and you're watching these shows, you're basically inviting them into your house. And people become comfortable with these newscasters, these broadcasters, day in, day out. Unfortunately, these broadcasters are not there to tell you the truth. These broadcasters work for organizations that have a vested interest in following another agenda based upon the amount of money that they receive from particular donors. If we were to look back at the history of media manipulation, we'd find that it goes all the way back to 1921. The Council on Foreign Relations was created. They were created in order to maintain control of the media. And at that point in time, the top 25 media companies were purchased. There was somebody put within each one of these organizations in order to maintain control of this organization. And there was then one central person or organization, the Council on Foreign Relations, which was able to dictate then through these 25 media outlets what was taking place in the world, what was taking place in America. And Americans wouldn't be any the wiser who was controlling things. They just know they turn on that box and there's the information. Well, time continued on, with the newspapers and television, and technology grew. And then we had involvement with the CIA. Operation Mockingbird. Let me show you this right here. Operation Mockingbird is a program in which was an alleged large-scale program in the United States. Program in the United States Central Intelligence Agency that began in the early 50s and attempted to manipulate news media for propaganda purposes. It funded student cultural organizations and magazines as front organizations. According to writer Deborah Davis, Mockingbird recruited leading American journalists into propaganda network and oversaw the operation of front groups. CIA support of front groups was endorsed or was exposed after a 1967 Ramparts magazine article reported that the National Student Association received funding from the CIA in the 70s. Congressional investigations and reports also received agency connections with journalists and civic groups. None of these reports, however, mentions Operation Mockingbird controlling or supporting these activities. Well, one thing that we do know from the Kennedy files is that in the 70s, there were 40 journalists from the CIA that were placed into the media. We also know that Anderson Cooper over at CNN did his internship with the CIA. I'm sure that when he got done with his internship, he just severed ties with them and then continued on as if he didn't know anything about them. So there's probably no connections there at all, right? Because that's how he would have done it, right? He would have just said, no, thank you for the internship. I'm done now. That's it. You know, it's all a big ruse, folks. So the media is controlled, and here's a really great graphic for you to look at. An infographic. Media consolidation, the illusion of choice, and that's really all it is, an illusion that we have a choice. Media has never been more consolidated. 6 media giants now control a staggering 90% of what we read, watch, or listen to. And these are the companies: GE, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS. Okay, and over time, there'll even be more mergers. And you could see through each of these companies, the companies that they own. 232 media executives control the information diet of 272 million Americans. That's pretty scary that such a small amount are able to influence such a large amount. Okay, so it's important that we as Americans understand that if we continue to buy into the idea that we're being told the truth every time we turn on the television, every time we read a newspaper, we're going to be lost. We're going to be lied to, and we're not going to really understand what's going on. All right, switching gears again, here's a story. Security breach and spilled secrets have shaken the N.S.A. to its core. Serial leak of the agency's cyber weapons has damaged morale, slowed intelligence operations, and resulted in hacking attacks on businesses and civilians worldwide. Jake Williams awoke last April in Orlando, Florida hotel where he was leading a training session. Checking Twitter, Mr. Williams, a cybersecurity expert, was dismayed to discover that he had been thrust into the middle of the worst security debacles ever to befall American intelligence. Mr. Williams had written on the company blog about the shadow brokers, a mysterious group that had somehow obtained many of the hacking tools of the United States used to spy on other countries. Now the group had replied in an angry screen on Twitter and identified him correctly as the former member of the National Security Agency hacking group Tailored Access Operations, or TAO, a job he had not publicly disclosed. Then the shadow brokers astonished him by dropping technical details that made clear that they knew about highly classified hacking operations that he had conducted. America's largest and most secret intelligence agency had been deeply infiltrated. They had operational insight even most of my fellow operators at TAO did not have, said Mr. Williams, now with Rendition InfoSec, a cybersecurity firm he founded. I felt that I'd get kicked in the gut. Whoever wrote this either was a well-placed insider or had stolen a lot of operational data. The jolt to Mr. Williams from the shadow brokers repository was part of a much broader earthquake that has shaken the N.S.A. to its core. Current and former agency officials say the shadow brokers' disclosures, which began in August 2016, have been catastrophic for the N.S.A., calling into question its ability to protect potent weapons, and the very value to national security. The agency, regarded as the world's leader in breaking into adversaries' computer networks, failed to protect its own. These leaks have been incredibly damning to our intelligence and cyber capabilities, said Leon F. Panetta, the former defense secretary and director of the Central Intelligence Agency. The fundamental purpose of intelligence is to be able to effectively penetrate our adversaries in order to gather vital intelligence. By its very nature, these only works if secrecy is maintained and our codes are protected. With the leak of intelligence methods like the N.S.A. tools, Mr. Panetta said that every time it happens, you essentially have to start over. 15 months into a wide-ranging investigation by the agency's counterintelligence arm known as Q Group, and FBI officials still do not know whether the N.S.A. is the victim of a brilliantly executed hack with Russia as the most likely perpetrator, an inside leak, or both. 3 employees have been arrested since 2015 for taking classified files, but there is fear that one or more of the leakers may still be in place, and there is broad agreement that the damage from the shadow brokers already far exceeds the harm to American intelligence done by Edward J. Snowden, the former N.S.A. contractor who fled with 4 laptops of classified material in 2013. Mr. Snowden's cascade of disclosures to journalists and his defiant public stance drew far more media coverage than this new breach, but Mr. Snowden released code words, while the shadow brokers have released the actual code. If he shared what might be described as battle plans, they have loosed the weapons themselves. Created at huge expense to American taxpayers, these cyber weapons have now been picked up by hackers from North Korea to Russia and shot back at the United States and its allies. Millions of people saw their computers shut down by ransomware with demands for payments in digital currency to have their access restored. Tens of thousands of employees at Mondelez International, the maker of Oreo cookies, had their data completely wiped. FedEx reported that an attack on a European subsidiary had halted deliveries and cost $300 million. Hospitals in Pennsylvania, Britain, and Indonesia had to turn away patients. The attack disrupted production at a car plant in France, an oil company in Brazil, and a chocolate factory in Tasmania, among thousands of enterprises affected worldwide. American officials had to explain to close allies and to business leaders in the United States how cyber weapons developed in Fort Meade in Maryland came to be used against them. Experts believe more attacks using the stolen N.S.A. tools are all but certain. Inside the agency's Maryland headquarters and its campuses around the country, N.S.A. employees have been subjected to polygraphs and suspended from their jobs in a hunt for turncoats allied with the shadow brokers. Much of the agency's arsenal is still being replaced, curtailing operations. Morale has plunged and experienced specialists are leaving the agency for better paying jobs, including with firms defending computer networks from intrusions that use the NSA's leaked tools. It's a disaster on multiple levels, Mr. Williams said. It's embarrassing that the people responsible for this have not been brought to justice. In response to detailed questions, an NSA spokesman, Michael T. Heiberg, said the agency cannot comment on shadow brokers. He denied that the episode had hurt morale. NSA continues to be viewed as a great place to work. We receive more than 140,000 applicants every year for our hiring program. Compounding the pain for the NSA is the attackers' regular online public taunts, written in ersatz broken English. Their posts are a peculiar mashup of immaturity and sophistication, laced with profane jokes, but also savvy cultural and political references. They suggest that their author, if not an American, knows the United States well. So, I asked a good question. Is NSA chasing shadows? The shadow broker asked in a post on October 16th, mocking the agency's inability to understand the leaks and announcing a price cut for the subscriptions to its monthly dump service of stolen NSA tools. It was a typical wide-ranging screen touching by George Orwell's 1984, the end of the federal government's fiscal year on September 30th, Russia's creation of bogus accounts on Facebook and Twitter, and the phenomena of American intelligence officers going to work for contractors who pay higher salaries. All right, you can see, let's see, there's a bit more to this. So I'm going to leave that article for you. Needless to say, issues are taking place within the cybersecurity. Battles are being fought. There are some good guys. There are some bad guys. Edward Snowden, I believe, was one of the good guys. We know because of him that there was spying taking place on the American people. The release of these tools, well, it seems to be important as well because the American people have continued to be spied upon, and these tools are letting the American people know other ways in which they're being done. Here's a link to the WikiLeaks page where they have all this information on the Vault 7 CIA hacking tools revealed. It says Tuesday, March 7th, 2017, WikiLeaks began its new series of leaks on the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, codenamed Vault 7 by WikiLeaks. It is the largest ever publication of confidential documents on the agency. All right, then as you scroll down this list here, you see all kind of information. CIA malware targets iPhone, Android, smart TVs. CIA malware targets Windows, OS X, Linux routers. It's all the vulnerabilities, and it's a lengthy, well-written program, or well-written article, excuse me, discussing these various programs. Okay, there's different names and programs there, and certainly being at WikiLeaks will help you to navigate to all of these files within here. Okay, so the American people have been spied on for a while. This is not something that is happening now. This has been taking place for many years. It took place during the Obama administration. Most definitely probably took some time during the previous administrations. The deep state's been in effect for a while. That's why we see someone like George W. Bush come out of wherever he's been suddenly into the public eye because this information about JFK is being released, information which could implicate him. Information about the deep state is being released, which could implicate him. Seems many roads leads back to George Bush Sr. So that is why he's in the picture. He's the deep state. That's what the fight is against. Okay, let me jump over here. Something that you might want to check out. This is an hour and 13-minute video called The Creature from Jekyl Island. This is a look at the Federal Reserve, how it was created and all about it. The Federal Reserve, you should know about, came into existence in 1913. It's one of these systems of control that is put in place just like the media. They all work hand in hand. The Federal Reserve and the control of the money system working in conjunction with those who are controlling the media, and therefore they keep the public dumbed down. So if you haven't heard all about the Creature from Jekyl Island, if you haven't listened to this, it'd be worth your time to go back. It's an hour and 13 minutes. Listen to it, get a little bit of history. And this will lead you to other audio recordings and even videos on the very subject, because we should know these things as a public. We should know the various ways in which efforts are being made to try to subjugate us. And it's been going on for a long while. A long, long while. Okay? So I think that these are all good signs that this information is there. But these tools only work if we use them. Okay? Only work if we use them. Thought for today, Romans 8 verses 38 and 39. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Okay? That is the message, that God is love, Jesus is love, the Christ energy is love. If we go back to the Nag Hammadi library, we read in there the father and mother essences, for lack of better words, when they co-joined, commingled, connected, the spark was created of the Christ consciousness. That Christ consciousness was a spark that was created out of love. And from that, all things were created as this Christ light continued to move forward. through various personas, um, beings, and times as we've moved throughout this course of history. And here we are. We are all filled with this Christ light. And if we just look at these words, it's telling us that this light that within us, this Christ light, can't be separated. Can't be separated. Nothing will separate us from it. Death won't separate us. Life, angels, the principalities and powers, which bring us back to the words of Apostle Paul when he said, our battle is not with flesh and blood, but with powers and principalities beyond, okay? Present, future, height, depth, nothing. And when we really truly understand that light of that Christ that shines in each and every one of us, then all we have to do is figure out how to release it. Release more and more of it. It's something that we all have available to us simply because we're here and because the nature of how things are created. Okay, and the daily thought, mirror is simple. It has no shape or image of its own. If it did, it would not be able to reflect the image of the other things. Simplicity is what makes a mirror a mirror. The infinite light from which our world emerges is also a mirror because it is simple. Relative to our world, it is a formless nothingness. So simple and void, it feels to us as though we have no source at all. So formless, it is able to reflect whatever form we choose to show it from below. Try it. Celebrate, and the heavens will celebrate with you. Look up with a smile, and he will smile back at you. Very good message. So I think today as we go into the world, let's just focus on how we can connect. Connect with this reflection of who we are shining from above. Connect with this light of this Christ consciousness, which is this reflection that is shining down to us from above. Connect into it, and let's see where that takes us in the world, because when we do, lots of good things will happen. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I will talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.